FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's May 2nd, 2018. Well, when it comes to prediction, as Yogi Berra once said, prediction's very difficult, especially when you're dealing with the future. And somebody who's been pretty spot on a lot of times, way more than he hasn't been, is Charles Nenner. But first, be a part of the show. I've been getting tons of emails. I've actually been keeping up on them. I've made a commitment to you to answer everything, and I've been doing it. Sometimes you'll send me multiple emails, and I'll just send one. But just be part of the show. There's no greater thrill in life than waking up in the morning and seeing your email in my inbox. Again, the email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. So getting back to it, Charles Nenner, amazing record. And you find him at charlesnenner.com. That's Charles, Nenner.com. You can go subscribe there for a brief free subscription. Watch how the research works out. Charles, welcome back. You've really made some uncanny calls lately. It's great to have you back on.
Nice to continue the research with you.
Yeah, so you said that gold and silver were getting kind of peaky, getting toppy, and sure enough, like it's almost like you're the puppet master. Gold, is getting up to 1350, breaks down to low 1300s. Silver into almost the mid 17 per ounce, and breaks down into the low 16s. So cycle is asserting itself once again.
But it's interesting that people believe in all kinds of algorithms in the whole world, but they cannot get a grasp on financials. I think it has to do with the fact that it takes away free choice. If I can predict what people will decide, they have to admit that there's no free choice. They're part of the earth. And that emotionally is so important that they even give up making a lot of money just following the systems that can predict everything. It's very interesting. Then they listen to the Fed. And if you say, listen, the Fed has also the models and they look 1 year ahead. So let's look 1 year ahead. No, that's difficult. That we don't believe in that. And then they think the Fed just gets up and drinks a cup of coffee and decides today what they're going to do. I still don't know how people invest.
So it's so interesting. Does humanity control the cycle, or does the cycle control humanity?
Well, maybe you can see it on my website on CNBC. I gave a presentation about, for instance, the sunspot intensity. And if you go to NASA, they have a website about every week the sunspot intensity, and that's 100% correlation with the financial markets. If you give me 1 minute, and I want to make it too complicated, it's like this: the sunspot intensity creates electric magnetic field on Earth,
right?
And that influence water. And since our brains are 80% water, here we go, and we think that we make it up. So it all has a very, in physics, you can really make a correlation why these things are working out. Now, I'm writing a book, and it will take a year until it's finished. And I write that there's so many people involved that say all kinds of things without showing how they get there. You can open a television and give all kinds of stories, and they out of work if they don't do their research. So they just disregard it, and most people listen to them, and they don't know how much research is available.
So the cycle investing and cycle research really came into vogue, or really was born in the aftermath of the Great Depression, the crash of 29, when the government commenced a cycle research project on economic cycles, and they created a non-profit kind of quasi-public research arm to go back and figure out these cycles. And it looks like whether it's a commodity, gold, silver, or stocks, each individual one has its own cycle, short-term cycle. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's totally correct. Actually, Schumpeter did already cycle work, and he predicted the crash of 1929. But then after 1929, Keynes came up and he says, listen, if we take care of the money supply, we can change the cycle. So everybody says, oh, hooray, we want to follow Keynes because especially politicians, why would you vote for me if I can't do anything? So then they forgot about Schumpeter. But Schumpeter is the one with his book about business cycles who put down the whole basis, and it just continues, and the rest is just noise.
So one very powerful cycle that I've come to appreciate recently, the 7-year cycle.
That's what I wrote about.
Very powerful. I mean, when you go back to 2007, that's when everything started hitting the fan in the U.S. and then eventually the world. 2014, not a lot happened, but 2021 looks like it's got some major impact coming, doesn't it?
No, that's the cycle. Actually, the 7-year cycle is that it ends with the number 7. So 2017, I projected as a high. 2007, we know. 1979, 98, 97, 98 was a big, with the Russian crisis, there was a meltdown. Then 87, everybody remembers. 77, 67, 57, up to 37, 47. Every time that a year ends with a 7, you have a crash. Now, most people say, well, I don't believe that. Okay. I don't know where you get the guts from to say if it works for 100%, maybe you should take a chance. So it worked again.
Yeah, so 7 years. So the next one will be 2027. But so you're making a major call right now on precious metals, and they have been really the Maytag repairman, if you will, of investment vehicles. Like nobody is interested in gold and silver. Sales, bullion sales in bullion dealers down like 40 to 60%. I mean, there's blood in the streets. And your belief is that's all about to change.
Right. I also made this big call on the dollar. The dollar will go back to the highs where it was. And the stock market, after the next bounce, you have another chance to get out. But, I listen because I'm in Amsterdam now. So I have some more time. I listen, for instance, to CNBC and other media. So what they say, for instance, to the pundits, listen, we have some higher interest rates. Which stocks should we buy because interest rates are higher? They never say which stock should we sell. So the mindset that they create among the small investor is totally wrong.
Yeah.
And I try to get it across. And for years and years, and it's very difficult because all the media talk against it. And all the brokers talk against it, and all there to make a show, and all there to make a commission. Nobody cares for you to make a buck.
Yeah, so you could sum up the attitude on Wall Street, which is always be buying, ABB, right? But pretty soon that could be changing to always be selling, right?
Well, probably at the bottom. That's what they do.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, so we're always zigging when we should zag and zagging when we should zig. So if we want to anticipate the coming cycle right now, what do?
Well, what you do is you get now on the 2 years or even the 6 months treasury bills, you get a nice rate of return. You just go in cash. I said the same thing. If you look on my website, the end of 2007, when it was 40,300 a Dow, it says everybody out, you can't play this, it's going to crash. So you can't play this. Even on the short side, it's so hectic. I remember 2008, you take a short position, go to the bathroom, it's up again, it's down again, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You just have to save your money. I said, I'm Dutch, and we like to save our money. We never say, how can I make money? Now, the Americans always, I don't know all Americans, I just say what I hear on the media, is how can we make money? Well, sometimes you just have to be happy if you don't lose money. So try not to lose money.
Yeah. So return of capital or return of investment rather than return on investment is really what you need to be looking at.
Correct.
So how do precious metals figure into that?
Well, it's everybody's choice. I just my research just says what to buy and when to buy it and what level to buy it, and I just said for a long time gold is going to be a right investment only after the summer or late in the summer of 2018. Now, you can do with it whatever you want. But if you're out of the market and you want to make some money, you just have a couple of $1,000. You buy some long-term call options, and you have a nice extra return if you're not a real professional.
So you buy call options on What are we talking
Gold and
about?
silver.
On gold and silver? And, people always bemoan these paper markets, say they're fraudulent, they rip off the investor. But is that really true?
Well, they rip off the investor because maybe years ago, you remember, the Wall Street Journal had this column saying "heard on the street." And what did they find out? That if you're a big holder of IBM, then you write, "Oh, IBM is a great buy." In the meantime, you sell. So that's a ripoff. You shouldn't listen to all these stories. You should only look at the facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, so at the one hand, they're talking their book. On the other hand, they're making their trade, and you never really know what their true interest is. So looking ahead, what are you seeing for oil? Oil's been on a bit of a bull for a while. It's up to 67 and change, but your immediate call is it's going to pull back?
Yeah, it's almost over. Maybe it's probably already over. Also, copper is over. So this whole story of inflation is totally out of sync. What happens is that the people who don't study financial history know about inflation because for the last 30 years there was something like inflation. Yeah. And I say, the major situation in financial market is deflation, not inflation, but they don't study the financial history. So they continue to talk about this inflation. There's no inflation. And especially if crude and copper comes down again, that's the whole end of the story of inflation. Now, the inflation in Europe is like 1.3. They cannot even get it up to 1.5. Why? Because cycles are down.
Mm-hmm. So inflation, and in the U.S., we're starting to see some wage growth for the first time in a decade. Is that just all kind of smoke and mirrors, or is that sustainable?
It's minimal. It's not serious because when we get in recession, then people are going out of work and they will work for less money, and it's all a blip.
All a blip. Yeah, interesting. So really, you got to stick to very narrow parameters because the stock market's not going to be your friend. What about the agricultural commodities? I know you don't cover them a lot in the newsletter, but are they going to be hit because there's no inflation, or are they going to counter the trend?
Well, they're also rather involved. I do it for the big hedge funds, and I don't advise people to start dealing with that stuff because that's too hectic and even more complicated. What I would tell them is, please take the research. We're not going to charge you for a serious amount of time, and understand how, I developed this whole thing when I was head of the market timing Goldman Sachs. And if I would say, listen, Goldman Sachs will give you a tip today, it would say, oh, that's interesting. Just now that I'm on my own for the last, till when Obama started to close all our prop trading desks, everybody left. I left, the partners left. So they don't take it that serious. It's, as you know, I'm a medical doctor. And when I walked around with a white coat, everybody listened. But when you don't have a white coat and you sit in a family, then the aunts and the uncles know much better because you don't look like a doctor.
Yeah.
So please take a look how the big guys invest. We're not going to charge you, and get used to only looking at the facts. It's really going to help you.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You got to be careful in this world who you listen to, who you follow. But it's difficult. There's a lot of things that happen in life, and life is busy going on while we're worrying about all this, right? So, hey, looking at the VIX, you made a masterful call on the VIX a couple of months ago. The VIX was trading at near record lows, and I had you on the show, and you said buy the VIX. You were emphatic.
Yeah, we bought it around 9. We bought around 9, and we got out about 50.
Yeah, it hit 51 and then came back down to earth. Now it's settling down once again. And if I remember, you put out a call, I think, was it 13 is the, or 16 is the number where it's worth getting back into it? Yeah, 16. A close above 16 will be a new buy signal. What about buying it early? Does it make any sense to do that?
Well, it goes like this. I tell people, if you follow me and you think I'm right, then you should wait till I give the signals and not try to predict what I'm going to do or what I'm going to do. I tell you what I know, and I don't tell you what I don't know.
Yeah, hey, appreciate that. Hey, getting back to copper. So copper, they call it Dr. Copper. You can largely diagnose the world economy, or at least you used to be able to until the Chinese got in the midst of it and started dominating the market. Is it still such a sound economic indicator?
Yes. The rest is just noise. It's still Dr. Copper, and it looks like it's going to turn over, and that's very important for investors who want to go in bonds or investors who want to think about the stock market. Things stay the same. The interesting thing, they always said as General Motors goes, so goes the market. Well, General Motors stopped out a couple of months before the market came down. So isn't that interesting?
Yeah, well, now they say so goes Amazon, so goes the world, right?
Yeah, but well, that has to be proven, but we know it's General Motors.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So, yeah, the bellwether, the trendy bellwether stock is Amazon. Does it have staying power? It remains to be seen. So gold is the big move. How big? I know you don't usually talk about intensity or.
No. We have a long-term target of 2,500.
Really long term. When we say long term,
well, maybe 2 years. I have to calculate when, but I think about 2 years or so.
Huh. Interesting. So 2 years, huh? So that could be quite a play because right now it's in the low 1300s. If I look at my little handy Kitco chart, it's at 1307. So going up to, mid 2000s, that's almost double where it's going to be. What about silver? We have a target for silver, Charles?
No, not yet. Not yet. I have to do so much stuff, so I do whatever I can first with my people. Yeah. And then when we have time and we start going long, then we go up with the price target.
So, but silver over the long run, when silver rallies, it generally eclipses or exceeds gold's rally over time, right?
Right.
So could be, we'll wait for the research. Hey, I don't give recommendations. I'm not the expert here. I just think it's funny when you're talking about algorithms, all of a sudden algorithms have gotten fashionable. You see them all over Facebook, all over the internet. Algorithms are running the world. But like you say, when it comes to the market, all of a sudden nobody believes in algorithms, right?
Right. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, that I find fascinating because, look, whether you're buying an airline ticket, looking to buy a house, or going on to Amazon looking to buy some supplements, the algorithms are running it all, right? I mean, isn't that it? So,
right.
It's fascinating. So you are ahead of your time. You're still ahead of your time, Charles. Hey, so look, we've been talking to Charles Nenner. Just go over to charlesnenner.com. That's Charles, Nenner.com. We don't get any money from him, anything. We just like sharing his views and his system of calling prices, forecasting prices, but, basically get the thing for free. Go with it for a few months. If you like it, then you subscribe. If not, move on with life, right? It's all no pressure.
At least you have an idea what kind of knowledge there is it sounds strange, in higher financial circles, what the big guys know and what they do. Otherwise, you can't beat them. You can't even join them. You have to know what is out there.
Yeah, and the big guys really do have a lock on the knowledge. More so than the individual. They know. I love and I'll just in conclusion, I always love the thing is that the news doesn't make the markets, the market makes the news. When I tell people that, Charles, when I meet them, kind of telling them what I do, you just can't wrap your arms around it. It's so alien to most people because it's like, hey, like industrial production went down 0.2%. That's why the stock market dipped today. And the only reason it's getting reported is because the market dipped, right? If the market was going up, they wouldn't even bother covering that. It's an amazing.
If you pay attention, they always use the word as. Mm-hmm. As Apple had a good result, the Nasdaq went up. They're afraid to say because, so they covered. You understand? You have to listen to these words.
And that's about correlation between the two. So, and that's the key. I mean, I didn't really understand markets, and not that I'm that great now, but I never really understood them until I understood that the news cycle is dictated by the market and not the other way around. That's an alien concept to 90% of the population, 95%, 99% of the population in the world, because you read the Wall Street Journal and everything is cause and effect, but they're looking at it backwards. So that's something that you've really helped educate many, many tens, hundreds of thousands of people, Dr. Nenner. We're grateful. Hey, go over to charlesnenner.com. Check out the free subscription. It's not like one of these ones that last for 3 days and then you're done. It goes on for months and you follow it. Hey, and questions for Dr. Nenner and myself, like I say, there's no greater gratification to me than seeing your emails every morning in my inbox. KL@kerrylutz.com. Also have a hotline number. Call, leave a question, comment, whatever. It's 914-424-4142. The Twitter feed's @Kerry Lutz. Dr. Nenner, thank you so much for being with us again, helping shed a little light on what's a very confusing situation.
Okay, I'll do it again until everybody gets the idea.
Hey, we can only hope. Thanks so much.
Be well. Bye-bye.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.